Hey everybody, my name's Max Rainwater. This is Scratch to Gigs. Here's a lesson that I've been wanting to do for a long time called How to Befriend Your Metronome. Here's the worksheet that goes along with it. You can head over to scratchtogigs.com/metronome to find that and play along at home. To start out, choose a few benchmark tempos that are always going to be there to help you set that groove. And what I mean is choose the same marking on the metronome every time you practice. So the settings that I choose are 60 beats per minute, which is the ticking clock, up to 72 beats per minute, on up to 90 beats per minute, and then all the way up to 120 beats per minute, which is double 60, so that's twice as fast as you might have started. Or it might just feel comfortable to pick one of those higher metronome markings as you start your practice. You've got your benchmark tempo set. The first thing to do is to not play. Just turn it on and listen to it. So that's what we're going to do now. I've got 120 beats per minute set for my metronome. And for today's exercise, we're just going to pretend that we have the beginning of a G major scale. So we got that G note right there. But before I start to play and try to sync up with that metronome, I'm just going to listen and pretend or visualize what I'm about to play and how it will sound. So, 1, 2, ready, play. G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G. When you have a practice spot, it requires a lot of repetition to get really comfortable with it and really try to set into that groove with the metronome. So it's important to choose a spot that you can loop over and over again, and that would be called a practice loop. So here's how that would sound. 1, 2, ready, play. Ready, play. Now, some of you might have noticed something very important. The metronome was clicking away at 120, but when I visualized and then when I went on to play my practice loop, the metronome was clicking twice for each note that I played. Now that is called subdividing the beat. Subdividing can be a really effective tool to help you feel in the groove. So as you practice your visualization, you might find that naturally the metronome is not sitting on the same beat that you're planning on playing. For example, in this exercise, that would really mean that the quarter note of my scale would equal 60, although I had the metronome clicking on 120. It might feel unsteady to try to play one note per click. And so what I suggest is to start with a tempo that feels natural, and if something's not working out, what you want to do is to double the metronome. Now that would be called doubling. Subdividing the beat is a recursive structure. So what's great about these Dr. Beat metronomes here is I can just slide up the and of the and. So now I'm clicking on the 16th note, and that will really lock me in. It's giving me even more feedback from the metronome. I know I play only one note for 4 clicks now. 1, 2, ready, play. And I feel really locked in. So I hope that this all goes great for you, but obviously there may be challenging spots that you run into and it just feels like you can't get them in tempo. Here's a tip to help you break apart the spot and focus on one section at a time, while still allowing your body to get the feeling of playing the entire passage. And this is called deliberate pause. So as you're playing along with your metronome, choose a breaking point where I purposely stop and listen to the metronome for a full measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, rest. 2, 3. and then we would loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. With deliberate pause, you have this whole space to think about what's coming next. 5, 4, 3, 2. Give yourself a little bit of a break. So we've covered a lot so far. We've covered setting a benchmark tempo, looping practice spots, visualizing those practice spots, subdividing the beat, and then adding deliberate pauses. Here's a great way to groove even deeper by varying the rhythm slightly. Creating syncopation games. One way to do that is to make the first note long and then make the rest of the notes short. Let's take our metronome marking of 60, but we'll subdivide. To take this to one more advanced stage, take that same kind of syncopation rhythm game, but instead of putting it over a whole measure, we now start syncopating on every beat. I'm going to extend the big beats of the measure, let's call it 1 and 3, and then I'm going to syncopate beats 2 and 4. I'm going to visualize that first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, ready, play. Then again, when it's time to switch back to straight quarters, I have a really locked in feel. My mind is tracking on that subdivision of the 8th note. Once you get comfortable with that forward swinging, the more intuitive feel of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, well, flip-flop it and do a backward swinging pattern as well, where we're going to hit the first note as an 8th note and then anticipate beat number 2 and extend beats number 2 and 4 instead. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and ready, play. All right, folks, well, we covered a lot of ground today. Let's review. The first thing we want to do is to choose a benchmark tempo and envision how it will feel to practice along to that tempo. From there, we want to make sure that as we practice, we're able to loop continuously. And if we get stuck, then we want to choose a spot to break out of that loop and rest using a deliberate pause. We want to make that deliberate pause a musical interval, such as a full measure of 4 beats. Another way to get deeper into the groove is to double the metronome marking. And then from there, once you get comfortable hearing a subdivision, you can start to experiment with syncopation games. Or you can just syncopate the entire practice section, and then when you go back to playing straight ahead rhythm, it'll feel locked in because the beats feel very big and spacious. Here's what I like to look for in a metronome. I do like to have something that gives me that visual cue, so as you are practicing, you can just zone in on that. And so that's one reason that I really love those analog pyramid-style metronomes. Aside from that, you want to make sure that your metronome can do some kind of subdivisions. So this one's great because it's very easy. It's right there on the face of it, and you can just add the subdivision or take them out
2 and 3 and 4
as you like.
1.
So the Dr. Beats are great. I would recommend shopping used for these. It can be found on eBay for under $100. This is the DB90, but you can also shop for the DB88, which is the previous version of this. I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. My name's Max Rainwater. Thanks for checking out Scratch to Gigs. And if you'd like to learn more, join the email list over at scratch2gigs.com. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this video. All right, have a great day.